Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. Do another video before I get a lot of stuff that I've been working on done. Including a new business that a business proposal that I have to do, which is going to be a pain in the ass. But as slovenly as I look, I am going to work hard at my business proposal. So less about that until the website is done and launched. I probably will launch it, partly on this channel, as well as new album being worked on and all this other stuff. I'll have to look at my list for today. Anyways, this video is about the inauguration speech. I just watched it, about Biden's inauguration speech, and just as predicted, it was full of a lot of hypocrisy, as well as platitudes, and empty rhetoric about unity and division. It's like, well, I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of people that are fucking racist, douchebags in the Trump camp, and they're crazy and stuff. But how is talking about, how it's like one. It's talking out both sides of his mouth. You talk about Trump doing that, but Biden's doing that too. So these people, these tech overlords, and these billionaires are partly the real reason of the division and all the discord that's going on. And Biden's part of that. So he talks about unity, and then he talks about, the, what did he say? The forces of division and all this stuff. It's like, well, dude, yeah, I mean, you have a media that's been attacking a certain class of people for 4 years and over 4 years. You've had people that have been, put in these categories, especially with this virus, it made it even worse. Like they're actual killers, even though, like with the protests, like the anti-lockdown protests, all these Trump supporters are out killing grandma. And then 2 months later, when people weren't social distancing with the BLM, oh, they're heroes and stunning and brave. The power of propaganda is what this stupid fucking inauguration speech is about. It really infuriates me. I mean, it was so stupid to watch. It was just so mindless. Like it had no inspirational elements to it. Like even with Obama, say what you will about his presidency, which definitely had major issues. Even he knew how to talk, and like, I don't know if he wrote his own speeches, but just was the most, this Biden thing was one of the most empty inauguration speeches I've seen. But then, they all have that kind of bullshit too, a lot of the time. So it was just stupid. I'm not extremely hopeful for the future, but I think they will give us back normality to some extent in the United States, at least, maybe. If this whole thing doesn't go on and on. We might return to, a pre-2016 era to some extent. The economy is going to be mediocre. I'm just saying, I'm not going to say that we're gonna, because, you never know, that dystopia may happen, but it looks like it may not happen too. Hopefully it won't. Hopefully the conspiracy theorists are wrong. I don't know. I'm agnostic about all that. So at this point, it seems like it's just going to go on and on, all this bullshit, this craziness is going to go on forever. But, one note about the pandemic is that it's endemic. It's going to be here. We're not going to get rid of it. It's going to, come back every year, more than likely, in different strains. So vaccine will work to some extent, maybe, or it'll have bad side effects, whatever, Speaking of that, I found out that at least where I live, in the town I live, or the county, they will not be. There's only a couple of companies that say that they would even consider mandatory vaccinations. They said that, they don't want to implement any kind of policies with the local state and local government as far as that goes, and a lot of businesses are saying no to that, I guess. I think some of the employers that are saying sort of iffy about it are like healthcare places. We'll see, though, of course. Will I take it? Hell no, not for a while at least. I mean, I want to see what happens with people. Primarily, I want to see if it affects fertility at all, because that's my biggest fear as far as, I do want to carry on the legacy like this, things like this great channel. And I don't know, I'm just being semi sarcastic, but you um, I do want to carry on my legacy, especially since I don't know. But yeah, the Biden speech was just empty bullshit, And the more I dig into Hate Incorporated by Matt Taibbi, the more uh, I don't know if I would call it red pilled, but it's like it seems more and more just that this whole thing's a lie. It's sad. I mean, I'm having an awakening that hasn't happened since like the late '90s, early 2000s when I first read Chomsky. I mean, this is like even beyond that. I mean, listening to that audio book, which I'm gonna probably reread once I get the book. I didn't buy the book because the only places I could find it was like $90 because it's out of print as a hardcover. But thankfully, they're releasing the soft cover in February of Hate Incorporated. I highly recommend it. I mean, it's infuriating, but at the same time, it's a revealing. Like now I'm off topic again, but anyways, I'll keep going with this video anyways. One of the things it talks about is moral panics, and you've seen this before. And some of the first, not the first moral panics. We had the reefer madness thing, back in the day, and the racism involved with that, and like all these moral panics that have happened throughout history. But one of the first modern moral panics they talk about is the mods versus the rockers in England. And this guy did a book where he first talked about moral panics, and he talks about how the media in England would just totally over exaggerate these fights that would happen between mods and rockers. And it was just like, certain things they got wrong and they never corrected and stuff. It sounds a lot like now with a lot of stuff. And I would dare say, like, as bad as it sounds to some people, the virus stuff there are a lot of moral panics with that, like, oh, like, for example, we had the kids dying from that Kawasaki syndrome, supposedly from the virus, the C virus. And that was disproven, but nobody ever, like, issued a retraction, or not a lot of people did. It's like, oh, it could kill kids too. Look at this Kawasaki syndrome that 6 kids got that may be not even be correlated. It's stuff like that, or the heart inflammation that happens with every kind of like virus, like flu, like, or cold or virus. They talked about that as a scare tactic. It may even cause this. So yeah, anytime you hear about or what is it, lawn haul, you get skeptical because you know that these two previous stories were proven incorrect or highly exaggerated. So that's one thing that's really bothersome about it. So there is a moral panic. All these evil Trump supporters are spreading the virus, and nobody else ever spreads the virus. Look at California. Big bastion of Trump supporters in California. It's a red state. A lot of redwood trees. That must mean it's a red state. And supposedly it's doing pretty bad there, Then you have other places that are doing better that are red states. What do you say about that? Well, they're magically erasing the statistics. And, they're actually, there is some proof of Florida fucking with their statistics, I'll admit. But everybody's fucking with statistics if they're counting deaths 30 days later, even if a person had a low viral load in their test and they die of something unrelated. If that is true, which I'm going to do research on because I've read it several places from different political factions, I'm assuming that it is true. So unfortunately, yeah, there's a lot of bullshit and moral panics will continue. You'll have this threat of right-wing terrorism that'll be overplayed in the media, of course. There'll be some stupid people doing stupid shit, or maybe some entrapment like happened under Bush and Obama with, some, like, dare I say, like, developmentally disabled person will, like, believe in some conspiracy stuff, and, like, the FBI will give them the or CIA will give them like some kind of stuff to do a bomb, and then they'll build it, and they'll say, "Oh my God, we stopped this threat." They did that several times, or numerous times, as far as I know. And that was the kind of thing that Alex Jones used to talk about, ironically, before he became like more of a neocon, basically, some of the time. Like it's halfway to neocon. It's kind of like Cenk Uygur is halfway to neoliberal, not quite there. You know, I really do want to do a uh, long form, like very organized, well, fully written and fully edited video about how Young Turks is basically the Infowars of the left. I keep thinking that more and more every day. Like I just found out that Kyle Kalinske and Shank had this huge debate about Biden back in May that was causing a big ruckus because, of course, you know who Shank was totally Biden on the Biden train, and you were problematic if you didn't want to vote for either one because you're not voting. You're part of the problem. All this shit, it's just like, I just remember that check a couple of years ago. Jeffrey Katzenberg, one of the big fucking vulture venture capitalists out there, member of the Democratic Party, giving TYT millions of dollars to operate. So, yeah, it's a bunch of fucking nonsense. It's just it's like the Beijing Biden's presidency, which is all of them are bullshit. That's why we need some change. And I really thought we're going to have it this past year. Unfortunately, even the people that were professing to be the change agents turned out to be bullshit. And actually, I'm talking about two people now. I'm talking about both Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. I mean, leaving the White House, Donald Trump didn't do shit. He didn't pardon Assange or Snowden. He didn't do. He didn't, like Sticks Hexenhammer once said, he should break all the establishment toys, quote unquote. And he didn't do that. Unfortunately, he didn't do that. And Bernie bent over for Biden. A lot of B's in that whole sentence. But yeah, it's pretty sad. It's a pretty sad state of affairs. But this empire is falling. We're at the decline of this modern Western empire called America. That's what we're living in now. And it's going to be chaotic at times. It's not going to be probably, well, it depends. It depends on what happens. I wouldn't be surprised in maybe about 50 years, maybe not 20 or 30, but maybe 50 years, we may have be split up, just like the Holy Roman Empire and like the Eastern Empire or whatever, back in the day. This is America's the modern Roman Empire, and we're going to be split up into various factions and stuff. And it's weird, but I don't know where I would go. Probably somewhere. I probably wouldn't go to the Republican quote unquote side, but then again, it depends on the personal liberties that are involved there. Because that's very important to me. I believe in liberty. But someone maybe even say I'm already a libertarian or something because I'm just disagree with a lot of what's going on and stuff. I just believe in a safety net, and I think it works, honestly, in some countries. So I'm still a liberal by definition. I might actually steal Sticks Hexenhammer's new aesthetic and upcoming video, if you know what I mean, if you watch him on BitChute. But anyways, that's all.